Well, all right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to admit some people in as we get started. We're going to be going live on YouTube here as well. So if you're watching this live or joining us for a replay, hopefully this information is valuable to you and you get a lot out of this sprint planning. So guys, this is your reminder. This is Monday sprint planning. And the whole goal here is to have a path to follow, create a plan, prepare to execute your plan, and then you can expect your plan to yield the results that you are looking for. Obviously, we train on a system that follows that methodology. And the reality is, right now, you're 3 weeks into the new year. So here's the statistic, everybody. 92% of people are quitting right now. 92% of people are giving up on their New Year's resolutions, on their plan, on their goals. And this is your call to action to say, no, I've got grit, I will not give up, and I will continue to forge ahead. And this is your accountability check. Again, you do not want to fall in the trap of most people. So I want to start this out because I know today for most people is a holiday. Obviously, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Take an opportunity to reflect on all the impact that Martin Luther King Jr. had in the world. And I just want to read off a quote that we started out today with, and it's from Martin Luther King Jr. And it is, "Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase." Martin Luther King Jr. Again, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. And I think this is a direct result of implementing any plan. Obviously, we're all well aware of Martin Luther King Jr.'s impact and the movement that he created and the impact he had on civil rights. But even stepping back and just taking note of that quote and how faith is taking that first step, even though you can't see the whole staircase. And I want to call out something that I actually put on the board for today. And this really talks to that 92% of people who are churning out right now. And again, my number one goal for you is stick with your plan, commit to putting in the repetitions in your plan to make them unconscious habits as part of your daily method of operation. And the big thing here, and I'm going to point to my board right here is, and we've talked about this, it's the progress versus time analogy. And we've been going through the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. We talked about Born to Win by Zig Ziglar back in Q4. Part of implementing and executing on your plan is preparing to win and having the skills and the tools to win and executing your plan. But it's important to note some specific traps. And I think this is the thing that contributes to most people churning out. And I'm going to get up and talk about this here for just a second. We'll move the board a little bit closer here. And I really want to call out this specific graph. So we've got progress, we've got time, and we've got your potential versus the goal that you've set out for yourself. And what most people don't realize, and again, this is overviewed in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, but I think it's good to visualize it and talk about it. And specifically, it's about this linear expectation that all of us have in every goal or process or path we've decided to implement. And one of the challenges with our linear expectation is the instant gratification trap that we all fall into, right? I've set my goal, I have a plan, I may be even measuring daily against that plan to see if I'm making forward progress. And when I don't get that instant gratification and I put in a little bit of time, and that's what this is, right? We're on week 3 of 2022, and you put in maybe 2 weeks of time. If you're doing 5-hour work days, you put in 10 days towards your objectives here. Let's be realistic with our expectations. Where do you expect to be 10 days in when you measure your progress versus time? And then let's talk about the reality of making progress, because it is not a linear path, it is a parabolic curve. And I think this is sort of the aha moment for you that should justify sticking with your plan and not quitting independent of the results that you're seeing. So the parabolic curve actually has us seeing not as much results and then starting to pick up momentum over time until we pass an inflection point. Typically that's as we approach our initial goal, and then really projecting upwards as we build our momentum. But here's the reality for 92% of people who are giving up or who are quitting right now, okay? They are in what they call, or what James Clear refers to as, the valley of despair. You may be feeling a sense of this right now when you measure your expectations in this linear expected rate of progress versus the actual progress that you're on right now in this geometric progression curve. So I want to talk about those two things really. This valley of despair that we're all in any goal or path we set, whether this is a long-term goal you've been working on that you haven't reached yet, or whether this is part of those New Year's resolutions that in the back of your mind you're considering giving up on right now. The other element I want to talk about is this plateau of satisfaction. And this is a reality for most people who may have hit a ceiling or a level, maybe even reached a goal, and instead of progressing that on or getting as far as you can see and then looking a little bit further, you sort of become complacent in your satisfaction. I've experienced it myself. I had a weight loss goal in 2020 into 2021. I hit that goal, and then I reached the plateau of satisfaction. It wasn't about setting a goal beyond that or even following my geometric progression and saying, look, I need to move my goal upward. Instead, it was I hit my number or my specific goal and didn't adjust my trajectory. And so these are the two things that I think are important to gain sight of based on today's conversation. Is you are somewhere here along your time journey. Today's date, maybe it's 2 weeks in on the beginning of your process or your system. Maybe you're watching this in July and you're 2 weeks in on your first goal, and you've decided to start. This is the gap of the valley of despair. Oh my gosh, I'm not there yet, and I still have so much more to go. If you've ever maybe climbed a mountain, you might know, oh wow, I just broke through the tree line maybe. I still have a ways to go to reach the summit, and there are going to be these false summits as I go along. And I think that that's really powerful to understand the mental traps so that you can overcome those mental traps, because that's what we're in right now. It's just a mental trap. It's the block, and you have to fight through that in order to continue on. The other area, the plateau of satisfaction, we've talked about using our goals to adjust our trajectory. Let the goal be the Northern Star, and let the plan, the process, and the habits that you're going to implement on a daily, weekly, monthly basis lead you with those goals, and then adjust those elements in order to make sure that you're continuing to progress upwards. So with that being said, I'm going to open this up for any comments so far before we move on to a little bit more in-depth conversation on the plan and the process and formulating and executing your plan. Ultimately, we want to know, how do we plan and prioritize our time so that we're continually working towards success? That's what it's all about, just chipping away as you go along and making measurable forward progress as you achieve your goals. So anybody have any thoughts or comments from the attendees that we have today? And if there is no comments, hopefully you guys are on the same page as me, and you are tracking along with your current goals and priorities. So one thing I do want to roll into is I personally took an opportunity this year in 2022 to put my plans down in writing and physically go through the written process and follow along. Even though I'm also mirroring it digitally online, there's something about having the ability to step back, overview, flip back, and look at all of that information and have it in a way that's tangible. In addition, I took an opportunity, usually I'm will, skill, and refilling over the weekend, and we suggest that everybody else do the same thing. And part of that will aspect is, where are you going? What are your goals, and why do you want to accomplish them? The second thing is the skill. After you've made a plan, are you prepared to implement that plan? Have you acquired the skills necessary and the tools necessary to execute on everything that you've planned out? And the refill is just pouring into yourself on a continual basis to remind you of the will, right? What is your plan and why are you doing it? What are those goals? And then the preparation, the practice of doing the actions that will take you to executing your plan. So I was thankful enough to be gifted this from a client of ours who we worked with to create some of the elements within this plan, the success planner, including QR codes for scanning through Shuffle that correlate with quotes that are in here. And I'm excited to do some other things that make interactive planning more profound and helpful for entrepreneurs. But in addition to that, I had a chance over the weekend to sit down with Caroline, who's one of the authors of this. She's also a speaker and a coach, and she's authored numerous other books. And we spent about an hour one-on-one, will, skill, and refill over the weekend to talk about this, as she has worked with high achievers, 6- and 7-figure annual income earners. And I'm a firm believer that success leaves clues. So if we can look at what successful people are doing, including our own successes, and replicate those and scale those, we can see success as well. And that's our goal for you. So part of that process, I talked with Caroline and I said, look, Caroline, when we are talking about how to plan and prioritize our time so that we can work towards success, of all of the interactions with all of the successful people that you've had, what are sort of the top 5 elements? And will that be validation to me and to you of I'm doing and implementing the right things? Or do I need to consider making some adjustments in how I execute on my plan, prioritize my time? Because as we've talked about, you do not manage your time, you prioritize it. You work on the important things, unless, like some of us, you procrastinate on getting those important things done in lieu of doing work for work's sake. So her number one, Caroline's number one, everybody, planning. Make a plan and put it down in writing. Her big focus, yes, we want to have that North Star of what our goal is, but we want to be specific in our planning on a weekly and daily basis. We can't focus on next month, everybody. We can't focus on 2023. We can have that 5-year outlook or 10-year outlook or 40-year outlook, but that's the Northern Star. What's going to count is the stuff that you do today and this week, and what plan of action you have, and have you put that down into writing? Can you look at it? Can you repeat it to yourself or to somebody else? And do you know what you need to do to make forward progress? Because this is your accountability. This is your Monday sprint planning. This is your reminder to make a plan, okay? The second tip that Caroline gave, plan out 60% of your time and leave 40% of your time flexible. You will have work to fill that time. We all have a task list. But what you want to avoid is the trap of allocating or planning out 100% of your time. And I've seen this before, right? That person who is very organized and says, wow, I've got every day of my life planned out by 15-minute increments. And here's the reality. Chaos is going to happen. Things are going to come up outside of your control, and they are going to throw you off your game plan for the day or for the week. If you allocate a little bit of flex time, and again, based on how your process or system is run, you will know, but her suggestion or estimation is approximately 40%. If you allocate a little bit of time, you know that in that time, that block of time, you're going to have to be able to come back and do things that maybe you had to stop when that fire crept up, or catch up on the tasks if no fire came up. But again, having that flexibility, because if you're like me, I'm a perfectionist. I want to execute on my day and I want it running like a well-oiled machine. And if there's a bobble or a blip, I'm mad as heck, even if it was outside of my control. So if I can plan for part of that chaos to happen, it will equate to me being more productive with my time and with my day. Number 3 tip, color coding. Again, from a visual standpoint, the ability to stand back and see how you're allocating your time. Because when we talk about balancing out our schedule, we're talking about chipping away at everything, not just our career or our finance, but things like our personal, our physical, our mental, our family, right? All of these things that balance out our life. And one of the things that Carolyn gave as a tip is color coding. For her, family is pink. Business 1 is blue, business 2 is green, business 3 is purple, and then a be there at a specific time is yellow. When she looks at her plan, and I do the same thing on my online calendar, I color code my events so I can stand back and say, oh, I need to be here at this time today, and I know that those things jump out to me. And oh, my plan right now is filled up with a lot of green or purple or blue, as opposed to looking more like a rainbow of colors. I know when I see my rainbow of colors, I'm having more balance and I'm working on multiple things or multiple goals at the same time. The trap you want to avoid is my entire calendar is focused on, say, the financial aspect of my goals and achievements, and I'm putting everything else or sacrificing everything else. So that was tip number 3. Tip number 4, what are your big 3 every day? If you've been following along with us for a while, we call them the win list items, right? What is your daily win list? What is important now? That's the acronym for win. We want to win the day. What are the important things? The analogy, and I really enjoyed Caroline giving me these. I told her I was going to definitely steal this analogy and give it to all of you. And she used the analogy from a coach that she's been working with. We've heard this similar with rocks and sand and water, but she called it oranges and Skittles, right? We know what those things are. Imagine a glass that is your time, and imagine all of the Skittles is all of the little busy work and task things that you need to do. Some of them are recurring, some of them are one-off, but the level of importance and priority for you is low. That's the work for work's sake and the getting the things done. The other things are your oranges, right? That's your win list items. What are you going to get done that needs to get done? That's important, time sensitive. You have to get it done. It's going to help a client or help you close new business or whatnot, but it's important right now. The book that she referred to when she was talking about these things was Eat That Frog. If you've ever read that information, again, there's some good gold nuggets in there, but she talked about putting our oranges into our glass first before you put your Skittles. The Skittles will fall in and fill up all of the room. However, if you put your Skittles in first, obviously you're not going to fit very many oranges in there. I like the analogy because the oranges were the healthy thing, the thing that you should be getting done first, the things that are going to have the big impact. And the Skittles are sort of like the candy thing, maybe the things you like to do, want to do, and would rather be doing. So consider that impact. I've heard this with rocks and sand and water and trying to fit everything in and prioritizing that. So what are your big 3 win list items? Also, as part of that, are these 3 impacting your goals when you review them on a daily basis? Like getting these things done, is that going to help me move closer to one of those goals? And just sort of reviewing that general activity and the priority of our task lists. Because if you don't get it done today, it's still going to be on the list for tomorrow. What is the priority of that? Some things will move ahead of it as they come up and increase in priority. Okay, so that was the number 4. Number 5, guys. Number 5 of Caroline's top 5 tips for really time prioritization and planning so you can move towards your goals. Take a day off. She said, allocate at least one day every week. Maybe you're doing things outside of work on that day. Maybe you're doing things, but if you're looking at balancing your wheel of life, if you will, and working on specific elements within that, make sure that you don't have something that you're just bombarded with every single day, right? That, you might be 6 days on and 1 day off with your health. You might be 6 days on or 5 days on and 1 day off with your career or your finances. They don't all have to fall on the same day off, but take time off. A big one for me, right? Health and fitness. I love having that cheat day. I may not cheat on that day, but the fact that I have it and I have that flexibility helps me in my being perfectly imperfect type of mentality, right? If I try to go 7 days in a row, every single day, getting everything done, and I don't give myself a break, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to fail. I'm going to not be perfect, and it's okay. If I already plan for that and give myself a little bit of flex and a little bit of grace, it's going to help me as well. So planning your day or your week, allocating or planning 60% of your time while giving yourself 40% flex. Work on potentially color coding what you're doing just to help your mind visualize what you're doing. Focus on at least 3 big items every single day. And don't forget to give yourself some grace. Take some day off. Any questions or thoughts or comments on that? If you've got another tip or maybe something that's in your top 5, feel free to let us know, put it in the comments, raise a hand, or throw it in the comments on this video so we can discuss. Lastly, guys, Scott, did you have something to add? I saw your hand go up. Go ahead.
So great topic, PR. In fact, for me personally, I have to create a daily goal or a daily. I came on this today because you were talking about sprint, right? And so what are the things? I've got my goals for the year. Those are broken down by quarter and then broken down by month. But if I do not have the list of the things I'm going to do today or try and accomplish, then life takes over the day.
Yeah.
So, and this is just for me personally. I strive to do a 3-hour total focus window. So no phone is in the room. In fact, if I can do it, I'm not even connected to the internet. If that's the task, maybe it's writing, maybe it's, doing some deep work, but that's the word. In fact, my theme for the year is deep, is just try and get into my workflow, and get as much done within a certain amount of window or a certain window versus saying, okay, because when you work for yourself and you can get up when you want, you can go to bed when you want, you can basically make your own schedule. Well, then what ends up happening is you work 18 hours a day, but you got nothing done. So I'm personally this year focused on 3-hour sprints. So, and that means no phone, God forbid something bad happened to somebody and they're trying to get a hold of me.
Yeah, right.
But in those 3 hours, I can usually do more than I could in a full day or even a couple of days before I started doing that. So that's just something that works for me.
I love that. And again, these are all these tips, tricks, and skills that any of us can leverage to see improvement. And this is what it's all about, continual improvement. If we continue to pour into ourselves and each other and improve and implement some of these strategies, we will move closer and faster towards our goals. Scott, to your point, and I've heard this time and time again, implemented it myself, it's having a laser focus, right? When you have something you're working on or something that you're tasked with doing, and you think, oh, I can multitask, right? I can have some distraction going on. The reality is we don't really multitask. We just toggle between switching our focus between the things we're focusing on. And if you can dedicate, to Scott, your point, focused time, right? Block out time to be laser focused. Decide on, and this is part of the preparing to win, right? We've got a plan. How do we implement it? Scott, to your point, why am I in my office here, one room in my house, closed off to the outside world? Doesn't look like all that great in here, but the goal is to be focused, right? Get away from all the other distractions, get away from the kids going out, and doing all of that type of stuff, and be focused on the job and the task at hand. And then taking that a step further, to your point, being laser focused, we call it the AMP, right? Your attitude, your moment, and your process during that segment of time of whatever you're participating in. So Scott, to your point, for the next 3 hours, here's what I'm going to be focused on. And maybe it's writing and I'm going to write for 3 hours, or maybe it's writing for 3 hours until I get this item done. And it takes me 2.5 hours and I'm on to the next thing. But being laser focused and intentional about your actions, I think, is so paramount and critical. And in fact, if I can share one thing, I'm just going to move my screen over here. You may see I've got 2 clocks up here. One of those is the time, and the other one is a countdown timer. When, Scott, you talk about setting a 3-hour sprint, I literally find myself doing something very similar where I say, okay, I'm going to be focusing for the next 30, 60 minutes on this specific thing, and I'm going to try and see what I can get done without any distractions. And typically what ends up happening is you're going to be amazed. I'm sure you've realized this yourself in just doing that you start getting into that flow faster, you start getting into that rhythm faster, and you start getting those things done either within that time block or to a point where you're like, well, it's been 3 hours. Maybe I should just add 30 minutes and get this thing wiped out and then move on to my next win list item or high priority thing. So really appreciate you contributing that. And again, food for thought for anybody watching this, being intentional, being focused, and blocking out specific time to execute the elements within your plan. We talk about a sprint. Sprint planning for us is a 7-day period. If you're talking about for technology, we do sprint plans in 2-week increments with our development team. And Scott, to your point, I create a week-long plan. At the end of that week, I review that plan and the progress I made. We call it a retrospective. What did I do? How well did I do it? What could I learn and how could I improve? And then we make the next plan for the next week. But in those 7 days are daily sprints, right? It's what do I have going on today, Monday? Oh, I've got a live sprint planning call. This is our accountability call for ourselves and for everybody who's part of this network. In addition, I've got X, Y, and Z to chip away at, and I've got time blocked for those. I know exactly what I'm going to do, so I don't have to worry about executing on Friday's day plan as part of my weekly sprint just for today, Monday, the present. And then when I get that done with that, I can do a retro for the day. Hey, here's what I got done. Here's what I didn't get done. Here's adjustments that I need to make or things that I need to change as part of my maybe atomic habit stacking or setting myself up for success, whatever those adjustments are, so that as I move into Tuesday, I can follow the same path. Wednesday, follow the same path. It may change day to day, specifically where the time blocks are or what meetings I have going on, but I'm executing the day in the same methodology. All right, in sort of closing here, unless there's any other comments or items people want to add, and I again welcome general discussion on this. Another thing that I talked with Caroline yesterday about, and again, I said you've worked with all of these high-level achievers, right? 6, 7-figure earners. You've seen what they do in their process. And one of the challenges that I've always faced when you're talking to somebody who's never implemented before is getting over the force of friction to get started. If you're a leader who's already successful, sometimes it's hard to think back at how it was when you originally started. You know, you want to teach everybody your process or your plan right now and get them to follow your current system, but you don't realize that at one point you were just getting started. And I think one of the biggest, most challenging thing for most people is just the getting started. You know, what do I do? Where do I go? Where do I begin? Because a lot of us, we've been doing this for a while. We've already know how to plan. We already know how to implement our plan. We've already achieved many goals that we've set for ourselves. And most of the time we're just moving the marker out further and further, if you will, whether it's the carrot or the stick for what we're working towards, as opposed to never having achieved a goal in the first place. And for me, this is the biggest thing for everybody. You, independent of where you are, if you're willing to go through a process, think and do the work and set the goal, break down and create a plan for that goal, and then execute your plan by focusing on the daily activities over time, I truly believe that's the secret, right? That's the secret sauce that will get you from where you are right now to where you want to go. But the analogy that Caroline gave to me in our conversation yesterday, which I thought was great as well, she said, look, the goal is the final GPS destination that you're putting in, right? If you're in your car getting ready to go somewhere, your goal is the final destination. What is that address? But one of the important things to know is, where are you starting from? For some of us, that final destination is right around the corner and we don't have much of a trip to go. But maybe for you, your 5-year goal is a cross-country road trip. And right now you haven't even left your house. It's important to know where you're starting from. And for her, she gave me a few tips on this as well. I wanted to share them with you. Again, there's overlap to success, leaving clues. I talked to her about this Venn diagram of overall thought leaders and where everything starts to overlap. That's the success traits that is in common with everybody that we want to adopt and implement ourselves. She said the number one thing is to learn how to set a goal, right? And it's not just about setting, I want to achieve X, okay? One, be very, very, very specific. And I included a lot of berries there for a very specific reason. Get super detailed with your goals. If you're talking about my 5-year plan, where's my Northern Star going to? And you're describing a day in your life 5 years from now, right? What does 2027 look like for you? Think about it. Can you smell the breakfast that you just made? What time did the alarm clock go off? What ringtone was playing? You know, did you go get a workout in or meet some friends for brunch? Detail that out so that you are laser clear on what your expected result is, where your final destination is. The other thing that she said that was, I think, just as important as being very clear on your goal, it was understand your why. And the process that Caroline goes through, which I think all of us are equipped with going through, is to ask ourselves the question why after we write down our goal. And if we don't have a specific answer to that, I want $1 million. Why? You know what I mean? If you've ever seen $1 million, it's like a 2 foot by 3 foot by 1 foot cube of stacks of $10,000 bundles of $100 bills, right? If that's your goal and you have it sitting in front of you, are you done? Are you satisfied? Is just having that there the end goal for you? And if it's not, you need to get more focused. Why do you want $1 million? Is it to pay off your debt? Is it to buy a luxury home or luxury car? Is it to send the kids to school? These are things that you're using that money as a tool to accomplish. And then ask yourself why. Why do I want a bigger home? Why do I want to send my kids to school? Why? Get down to the simplest answer for why you want to do that. Because look, if you don't have a good reason of why you want to achieve your goal, you will not do or put in the work that it takes to reach that goal, because chaos is going to happen. Life is going to come up. The things outside of your control are going to rear their ugly head and try and throw you off track. Okay, there's 1,000 ways to get from A to B. You may have in your mind a GPS that goes this route, and you may find out halfway along your trip that they're doing construction in the last half of your initial thing, and you're going to have to take a detour. You can still get to where you're going, but think about why you're doing it and where you're trying to get to. The second big thing, writing the plan, putting it down into words and really, really, really getting clear on what action is required to achieve or work towards those goals. And I want to, go back to what Scott was saying earlier about his planning process, because again, I think it's very similar to the standard process I see most successful people taking. And this is why we all want to be implementing this stuff for ourselves, right? Not only what is my maybe 5-year plan or ultimate outcome. When I first started this, I came up with a 4-decade plan, guys. When I was 65, 70 years old, this is where I wanted to be. And then I started to break it down from there. I knew I was not going to break that down on a daily basis, right? Cut that down. What is the 5-year plan? So that I could measure, am I 1/20th of the way towards my goals? And what does that look like? What is the 1-year plan? Where do I need to be in 1 year? Scott, to your point, what am I going to be this time in January 2023? What does that look like for me? And then again, take that and cut it down. What are the quarterly plans? In this first quarter of the year, by the end of March, where are you going to be, right? Then the quarter doesn't even matter anymore. What does the end of January look like? Or if you're just getting started now, the next 30 days look like? Even if you're starting on Tuesday, the 18th, again, what do the next 30 days look like? Okay, don't get in that trap where it's like, oh shoot, I already churned out of my New Year's resolution. Now I have to wait till January 2022 to start again, because that's where 92% of the people are at today, right? You can give up today as long as you want to get back on it tomorrow, guys. That's the whole purpose, is every day is a new day. That's why they call it a gift, because it's the present. So it's time to continue to refocus on those things. Get down to the 30 days, get down to 7 days. What does your week look like? Guys, this is sprint planning. At a minimum, you should know what you're going to do for the next 7 days. Make that list, put it down in writing, and measure against that. Every one of us is capable of identifying what we want to accomplish in the next 7 days. And then focus on today. That's the only thing you can make choices and decisions on right now, right? Are you going to make a phone call? Are you going to share some information? Are you going to follow up with somebody? What is in that action plan? And it's going to be made up of things that are redundant activities, right? I do this every single day. I'll give you an example. Every day I wake up at 5 a.m. Okay. I didn't always do that, but I do it now. Why? Because I have a very important why that's tied to my physical health, and I need to find time to get that workout in before any other distractions start in my day. So immediately I wake up at 5 a.m. and I go get my workout in. Those are 2 big win list items that I check off first thing. Man, now I'm empowered because I'm already checking things off my list. Then I go through my daily method of operation. Breakfast, the same thing. Work, the same thing. Start at the same time. Go to a specific location. Turn off all of those noise or outside distractions and get laser focused, right? Look at my win list items for the day and what I have going on. Some days we've got live calls. In fact, every single day of the week, there's a call that can help you hold yourself accountable and provides you the process or the skills to implement, right? We want to make a plan. That's what today's call is all about. And it will be about this every single Monday for the rest of the year. We're only on week 3, okay? There's 49 other weeks that are going to be coming up, and we're going to be consistent to remind you each and every Monday, make your plan, execute your plan, even if you're starting 10 Mondays from now, okay? And then when you're executing that plan, go through. What does it look like? What do I have? Here are my time slots. Here are my time blocks. But make sure you're measuring, as Caroline would say, what your oranges are. What are those 3 win list items you're going to get done today or tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday? What is it going to be in addition to these 5-hour work week calls that we do live to support and help you? And then put it into action. Ultimately, going back to the Martin Luther King quote we started with today, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase, guys. Get started. Take an action. No action is still action, guys. The world is going to be moving ahead. Time is going to be ticking. We had that time conversation on Friday. It is finite for each and every one. So there should be a sense of urgency for you to take action on the things you need to get done. Okay, guys, with that being said, I'm going to open this up for any last dialogue, comments, tips, tricks, additions, questions that you may have. And then we're going to get off on our day and kick our week off, everybody. Anybody out there want to add? Does everybody feel confident with their plan? Danon, I saw your hand go up. Go on ahead. Unmute yourself and feel free. Good. Thank you for joining us today, Danon. Good to see you.
Hello, everybody. The replay of this would be on what? On which one? The insiders or the affiliates?
Yep. It's going to actually be on the YouTube channel. So every one of these live calls that we host is directly being live streamed to YouTube as well. That replay will be available in YouTube completely following this live stream. In addition, we will consistently repost the replay in the affiliate group, Danon. So that'll be available as a reminder to everybody with a quick link. But if you haven't taken opportunity to go to the YouTube channel, you can watch this plus, Friday with the founders from last week, or Thursday roundtable, or, we'll be even importing and replaying the Tuesday at 2 Tech Tuesday trainings with Kathy. So we're going to be consistent with our process. We're inviting everybody to dive into that process, including joining on these live calls, including taking an opportunity to invite people to these calls or reshare these calls. I truly believe, guys, again, independent of what you're doing right now and where your focus is, if you look at the strategy here, make a plan, prepare to implement your plan, then you can expect to achieve the results of your plan. You're going to get that by participating in these calls. We're going to talk about the tips, tricks, resources, skills, and tools to accomplish that. So make sure you're joining in. Along those lines, Danon, let's go on an overview of what we have going on lives for the rest of this week. If you're allocating your time as part of your plan, make sure you're allocating for these calls, either to check us live or watch the replay. Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central, we will be doing our Tech Tuesday at 2. If you want to learn about how to implement technology to support you in some of your method of operation, and I'm a firm believer that technology is a powerful tool we can all be leveraging to get us to where we want to go, you're going to want to join us for Tech on Tuesday. We'll do overview of Shuffle. We'll do overview of Tap. We'll do overview of the subsets and functions of those tools to help you get off to a good start. On Wednesday, Mindset of a Champion, 7 p.m. Central Time. Again, this is a skills type of call for an hour. It is the knowledge and skill set that you need to implement if you want to play and perform at the top of your game, right? Take anybody who's at the top of their profession, doesn't matter whether it's an athlete or whether it's a business professional, they are all implementing a certain thought process, and it is the mindset of a champion. They're willing to put in the hard work to get the results that most people aren't. They are the 20% who are getting 80% of the results. Do you have those skills, and are you implementing them on a daily basis? On Thursday, we'll do a roundtable discussion. We'll pick a topic. We'll roundtable it. If you joined us last Thursday, and again, I want to give a shout out to Scott Webb here, came on, we talked about content and collateral, major elements in anybody who's getting information in front of people and positioning themselves as the authority or the guide to help their customers. Take an opportunity to go check out that replay on the YouTube channel, or if you're on one of our social groups, throw out a question and we can get that replay posted. Finally, on Friday, it's Friday with the Founders, guys. We're going to do an overview of LFI, of a topic, and talk about an affiliate overview. As always, we think that there's a path where everybody should be an entrepreneur. If you're not an entrepreneur right now, you can start becoming an entrepreneur or a business owner. I think the easiest path to do that is affiliate marketing, and we're going to show you an affiliate program that you can participate in if you haven't found anything else. But at the end of the day, ultimately, we truly believe you should be a business owner. Our argument is you can create a passive residual income stream through your business that is essentially the equivalent to that portfolio retirement income, and you can do it faster than the 40 years it takes to save for retirement. So if you're interested in that, you want to join us on Friday and learn about that at the end of Friday with the Founders, you're welcome to do that. As always, with all of this information is for you. It's for your benefit, guys. I already know this stuff and I'm implementing it every day, okay? I want to bring it to you because I know if you learn it, if you acquire these skills and implement it, you will see results as well. You know, we talked about this. You may not get 100% of the way to your goal, but even if you fail halfway there, you'd be half as far as you were today. And that's ultimately the biggest thing. Most people don't realize or recognize progress because it's slow and you see it daily. It's like watching my kids grow up. They just don't seem to grow fast and they always seem to be kids. And then I look at pictures and I see that punctuated leaps of how much progress they've made and how far they've gotten. Sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to look back at all of our successes and we have to realize that we are making forward progress. Guys, you're in the valley of despair right now. 90% of people are going to be quitting today, not you, because you understand where you're at. You also understand where you're going and where you are along that process. This alone should continue to keep you motivated and inspired to stick with executing your plan. If you haven't made a plan yet, make it. And then join us on future calls so you can start implementing it and getting it to where you want to go. Last, I'll close in saying this. Part of this is about pouring into other people. It's about creating a community and a network that really focuses on the abundance mentality, helping everybody be successful. I truly believe if we pour into each other, the high tide will raise all ships. You're going to see a benefit. And my only ask for you is that you share this information with somebody else. You pour in to somebody else, much like we're trying to pour into you. When we do this collectively, we can create a movement, you know? And much like our person who we're celebrating today, Martin Luther King Jr., he was one man, but he created a movement. And he thought about the change that he was trying to impact. And he worked to make that change available to everybody. That's not unlike our goal here at LFI. We want to level the playing field for everybody. Okay, it doesn't matter where you are right now, where you're starting from. There is a path to get to where you're going, irregardless of your race, your age, your sex, your social status, your lot in life. It doesn't matter what has happened to you. Okay, you may not even be able to control what has happened to you up to this point, but you can control how you react to it. And that's what making a plan is. It's how you're reacting to wherever you're at so that you can change where you are going. So guys, that's Monday Sprint Planning in a nutshell. Hopefully you got something out of today's conversation. Hopefully this has inspired you to put a plan together. If you need to get a planner, get a planner. Maybe it's this one, maybe it's another one. I know this one is sold out for 2022, but if you want information on a plan or make a planner for yourself, let us know. There are plenty of them out there. Don't let that be your excuse for not getting started, not taking that first step. Okay, guys, I want to thank everybody for allocating a little bit of your time today to go through LFI Sprint Planning. We usually allocate about an hour for these calls. We're at 45 minutes, so I want you to take the remaining 15 minutes and do this one thing. Make your plan. In the next 15 minutes, write down your big 3 items for today, and then figure out how you're going to knock those things out immediately. If you need to do what Scott suggests, turn off everything and get laser focused on checking off those 3 items. Then come up with 3 more for tomorrow, 3 more for the next day, all the way till Friday. I look forward to seeing everybody on the next call. Again, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central. If you need the link, go on ahead and post a comment and we'll get that posted out for you guys. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful week. Let's win the week, everybody, by winning each day. Take care.